All right, now where were we before I was so rudely interrupted? I'm I'm sorely tempted to just like get the strongest tape I've got or some sort of adhesive and just stick it into this particular USB extension that it's in. On the other hand, that's also the USB extension cord that I use for my current hard drive enclosure because it hasn't been keeping a proper connection on the other one, which has me worried about the quality of that thing. But yeah, we're leaving the sound on stereo. We're leaving the difficulty level on normal because goodness knows this is a FromSoft game. It will kick the shit out of me no matter what. We get to enter a pilot name. We can name our mechs later once we're in better shape. Yeah, they did change that, which is good.
One entity ruled the world. It was simply called the Controller. The Controller handled the major decisions of everyone's life. People took it for granted that the Controller would handle every aspect of their lives for them. Under the rule of the Controller, people lived safe yet uninspired lives of a promised prosperity. As time went on, several powerful factors known as corporations came on the scene. In their separate struggles to gain absolute power, the corporations waged war upon each other. The Controller even manipulated the corporations' war. All was going according to the plans of the Controller, but somehow the forces of chaos began to rise.
Yeah, man, I love these games. The plot is real good. I'm not certain how high the volume is on this. This looks a little bit high. I'm going to try knocking it down real quick and see if, just to make sure that we're not getting like screamingly loud thing from the composite.
Nearly there. I'll go over the mission one more time.
Oh, that is significantly quieter on my end too. I guess because I'm monitoring
Your
it.
objective is to eliminate all forces occupying the city.
We're thrown like right into a mission. This is as close to a real tutorial as we get. Again, FromSoft game. This one teaches you at least a little bit of tactics compared to like AC2. But we may talk about that later. A reason why I didn't pick Armored Core 2 instead of Armored Core 3, I think AC2 is probably the better game in theory. But it also controls all with the D-pad despite being a PS2 launch title, really. Yeah, they start off with a mission where you can walk out of the arena, which is actually kind of mean, but I appreciate it on some level because like that is legitimately a thing that will cause you some problems on quite a few missions. Also, something that you can abuse to your own ends in the arena, but we'll get there when we actually talk about the arena. Because, let me warn you, this first session, there's probably going to be quite a lot of me just talking about stuff. Because there is a lot, and I mean a lot, to this game. Although, yeah, now that you mention it, it does sort of look a little bit like Midgar. The first time, huh? Yeah, it is super dark, huh? Well, I tell you what, there's no light dash here. I figure once we start getting deeper into some stuff, we will probably see at least some fighter detail. Where you at, guys? Alright, let's... Okay, there's our partner. We have all of one lock on this missile unit. All right.
Last one.
Ooh, the hit stun on that rocket is pretty intense.
All enemy units destroyed. You
You're right, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, you do just open up right on a battle in FF7. You're right. That's also true of FF13, right? Yeah, because they were trying to ape the opening of 7 with FF13. Final Fantasy 13, a game that's just like, hey, yeah, what if we try to do all the best things from all the other games to cover for the fact that we don't have a whole lot going on? All right. Anyway, we managed to get through that first mission decently successfully. And we've got some stuff to explore here. Because we have already been registered as a Raven, and we're working with this Global Cortex people, and we got some mail here. Starting from the controller, this is probably going to be very officious sounding. Notify citizen, bunch of numbers, their authentication as a Raven. Well, at least you got the pronouns right, Buster. Includes the right to operate ACs and supportive activities registered through Global Cortex. Ah, so there's only one company here that's doing any of the Raven support, huh? I wouldn't know because I haven't played Remake yet. Whenever I even bother to think about it, I think about the price and I just go, yeah, fuck that. Actions holding this position must at all times adhere to the laws set in place for maintaining order throughout Laird. Laird is the name of the city/human society encampment kind of place that we're hanging out in. That's very interesting because we kind of do a lot of corporate-sponsored murder, and we never get ejected from our status as a Raven. So that's... yeah, that's already a load of BS. You'd think for this, like, omnipotent supercomputer kind of thing would be able to get the jump on that pretty heavily. Now, let's take a look at this other message from Lane Myers, who is our mission representative, our operator in the field, who will make fun of us when we're bad at the video game, just like everyone else. I mean, in the business of dispute resolution, you say. Yeah, okay, we're mercs, I get it. And yeah, that is like a major recurring thing with a lot of these Armored Core games, is that gray morality is the nicest you get out of it. You do a lot of incredibly reprehensible things throughout these games as you slowly build up your reputation and eventually take on missions and destroy the government later. If I recall correctly, I don't remember if it's this game or another one. Like, one of the first missions that you do in one of the Armored Core games is putting down a strike in a factory with your giant mech. It's like, I mean, okay, sure, they're armed with their own robots, but also, shit, dude. Definitely really hammering home just how bad corporations are, and I admire the balls for the 2000s, really. For full backing, as long as we perform our best, and they've got a shop. They'll repair our mech for us, so we don't have to do a minigame for that. Awesome. Yeah, if something goes south during a mission, we're up shit creek. Gotcha. Excellent. Also, my sound doesn't seem to have been refixed. Did that re-break from me having to reset the thing? Aww. Boo. See, this is fine. Okay, no, it's not. It's better, though. Was it just that one menu? Whatever. Let's head on over to the garage. We're going to take a look at some mech building stuff here. And get a load of a truly astounding array of numbers. Like, this shit'll make your head spin a little bit. This is a wonderful game series if you're the sort of person who loves min-maxing all kind of stuff. Because, yeah, there's a lot, and they're just showing you right now. They're showing you the base level, like the important stuff over there. You've got your weight, your energy drain, your armor points, your defensive points, your comm type, which I don't really think is necessarily that important, and whether or not you've got a radar. You press triangle to pop open specs, and you can see that, well, first of all, you can see that defensive points, there is a sum of your shell defense and your energy defense. Yes, you have to worry about different weapon types in this game. And it also kind of hides some very important stuff that you would really want, like extra information about your radar. Notably that I don't think biosensor is a thing that's a huge deal in this game, but some of the Armored Core games, we fight like very definite bioweapons quite regularly. And so there are certain missions where it's like, oh, well, you don't have a biosensor, you can't lock onto anything. Enjoy your manual aim. Enjoy your no missiles, bro. So, okay. We're gonna go top to bottom on our deets on these, and we're gonna take a look at this for like all these things. Is that our manufacturer, this is just flavor text. These actually do have some import. I believe this game has a couple of secret parts that you can get by playing missions with cores that are built mostly or even entirely out of parts that are made by one manufacturer. It would have to be mostly, because I'm pretty sure that one of the smaller companies doesn't does not have certain types of parts whatsoever, and vital ones at that. Oh, well, I kind of expected that there'd be stuff changed up there in MK1, because this is now the second reboot timeline, right? We're sort of in the third timeline of Mortal Kombat. Back to this. Weight. You can probably expect what the weight value is. Those, the total weights of your parts are subtracted from your legs carrying capacity. And when it comes to arms and stuff that are attached to the arms, that is removed from the core's carrying capacity, which we'll see in a moment. And if your mech is overweight, you cannot take it out into the field until you've beaten the game, at which point you can, but it's probably not a good idea. Energy drain. For most parts, this is going to be just a passive drain on your generator. You would like to try to reduce this if possible, because your generator gives you the ability to boost around and to fire energy weapons, which are probably going to be kind of our stock and trade when we do missions. Armor points. Armor points are your HPs. Defense, we kind of understand that cooling is a measure of how much a part helps dissipate heat, as you could probably guess. Getting shot and being in hot environments will raise the temperature of your machine, as will boosting, and even using the overboost function, which we didn't show off, but we will. Believe you me, I will overboost quite a bit. If you hit a certain point, your mech will overheat and you'll start taking just constant AP damage. Certain enemies exploit this, and they're kind of the worst as a result. So, onward. Computer type. This determines how good of a map you get, I think. I forget what all this does. Computer voice is, again, just like which voice bank your head uses for giving you the basic message. Not really hugely important. System recovery. This is a rough measure of if you get hit by, like, ECMs and shit in the general area, which ECMs are a lock-on disruption. basically, it's how good you will recover from that kind of stuff, from having your radar jammed and all this other biz. Map type. So this lists no memory, so it is not going to remember anything about a map whatsoever. But there are other heads that will let us keep a memory of the map of the mission area using the select button. So that'll probably come up more in like future streams, because I think today is mostly just going to be explaining shit in the arena. Or at least the first part of the arena. But we'll find out then. Biosensor, I described this earlier. That is what allows you to lock on to certain enemies. ECM Canceller, this improves your ability to recover from getting hit by an ECM attack, which will kill your ability to lock on with your weapons. So, yeah. Those are kind of handy to have. The AI does not care about it at all. Like, I think even some of the AI missile boats will just be like, fuck it, the rules are for squares, and just shoot missiles at you anyway. And radar function. If we had a radar, I think there would be radar stats there. But, yeah, this head doesn't have a radar, so... Now we move on down to the core. You can see the core is significantly heavier than the head, as you'd probably expect. It is a huge chunk of metal, after all. Much bigger energy drain, but it's got better durability stats, decent cooling to it. Maximum weight. This is something I was describing earlier. A core has a maximum weight separate from the max weight of your legs. And the core's maximum weight takes the sum of your arms, your arm units, which are your right hand gun and your left hand, usually sword, but sometimes you'll have a shield. Sometimes you'll even have left hand guns. We'll be able to check out all of those in the shop, actually. Your extensions, which go on the sides of your shoulder. And I believe inside parts count as being part of the arm weight, too. The back units, which are like our shoulder-mounted missile launchers, are interestingly not counted. I'm not sure why that happens, but yeah. Versus MG response and range. I believe that is a measure of the effectiveness of the anti-missile system installed in this. Because certain cores, you can see ours has like this really flimsy looking gun sticking out of it that would surely not have a very good time in a particularly rough mission if this game was significantly more realistic than it is. But that is actually like a very weak passive anti-missile system that can protect us from certain missiles when they fire at us and just shoot them down. It's very handy to have that as just an extra thing. Option slots is a measure of how many optional parts we can install in the core. We will, again, see more of those soon. Option parts are basically just kind of all-purpose buffs to your stats that the only real requirement is having slots in your core for them. And move down, core type. There are two types of cores in this game. There's Overboost, which is OB, and Exceed Orbit, which is EO. You saw an Exceed Orbit in the opening cutscene where it was like little weapon pods that popped out of the back and shot lasers. Ours is an Overboost, so instead of that, we can click the right stick and we fire off a massive boost that just launches us right into the fray. It can also be used for escaping or just like side strafing your enemies real well if you know what you're doing, which admittedly I'm very rusty. I used to be quite good at these games, actually. Not so much this one. There's definitely some parts of this that still kick my ass, but yeah. And then down there we've got OB power, so that's a rough estimate of what kind of power we're looking at. Big number equals better. OB energy drain, that's how much it hits our generator when we are using it. And discharge heat, that's the massive burn that it inflicts us with when we pop off an overboost. Now, down to our arms. We're pretty much aware of what all of this stuff is, but we've got a couple new stats here. We've got energy supply. Energy supply is a unique thing for arms. Energy supply helps dictate the damage that laser blades do. If you want to use a blading core, you want something with a very high energy supply. The best you can get, really. Recoil control. You probably can guess this, that your guns have a bit of recoil. This is how well it controls it, and basically how good a weapon is at, how good your arms are, rather, at keeping your shots shooting straight. Reaction speed, I believe, has to do with either using left-hand guns or switching weapons specifically. Legs. Alright, so we've got a look at this stuff. Stationary drain. I believe that is the important one for these in terms of our energy usage, although energy drain has to do with how much we move, how much that hinders our generator. Armor points, moving ability. Moving ability is a rough estimate of speed. Turning speed is about what you would expect. Jump function is basically just, hey, do you have 2 or 4 legs? Because there's a couple of different types of leg sets, and we'll get a look at those pretty soon. Not all of them can jump. Some of them just have to boost from the ground. Meanwhile, with this one, if we went somewhere, we could just press X and we could do a hop without using our booster. And usually the jumps are actually pretty good on most of these. Braking ability represents how well we come to a halt. Landing stability is how much our... I need the words here because I can explain it, obviously, but my brain's like, hey, would you like to not have words? Landing stability is when you drop to the ground, especially if you drop real hard from a boost, how much time you spend basically flinched is determined by how good your landing stability is. And your defensive stability is an estimate of how much you are going to reduce your enemy's stopping power. Now we move on to the booster, pardon me. I think you can probably guess basically what these are. Boost power is how strong your boosts are, and charge drain is how much energy they waste when you are boosting around. Not every type of leg set can equip boosters, by the way. This is an important thing to note. Is that if you're using a tank, or if you're using a hovering leg set, you have to just use the inbuilt booster. These are like supports, and they are a major source of why legged ACs tend to have better mobility. Even though, like, hovering ACs are nice and fast, and they can... God, I'm peeking out so badly here. No, my thing is fine. Huh. Am I talking that much louder? Maybe. Yeah, so hovering ACs tend to have good land speed, but they're not, like, amazing flyers, bizarrely, even though they're just floating above the ground the whole time. Because they don't get boosters, so they don't get that extra oomph for flying around with. And now this is where we start getting into some stuff that is finally a little bit different. The FCS, also known as the Fire Control System, this determines your ability to lock onto things. So, all right. Lock type. Lock type determines some information about the shape of your targeting area. We have a standard, so we've got a pretty well-rounded one that's good for like mid-range weaponry. There are others that are better for different purposes, and we'll take a look at some of those pretty soon, probably. Target single. This determines how many enemies you're allowed to lock onto with when you're prepping a missile salvo. In our case, single is fine because our current missile launcher is only a 1-lock unit anyway. Maximum block is how many missile lock-ons you can do. Lock speed determines how fast you lock onto your enemies. Sight range is how far you can see, and precision is a measure of your precision. You want a higher number so that you have a closer lock on with your regular weaponry. The generator. This tells us about our amount of energy we can have. And you can see it doesn't have an energy drain, which is a good thing. Otherwise, that would be really silly. Energy output is a... energy output, I believe, deals with your charge. I forget how these stats work, other than maximum charge is how much energy your thing has a capacity for. And red zone is how large part of the red area of your meter is. When you're stuck in the red zone, you recharge slower. So that's not great. If you can avoid it, you want a generator with as small of a red zone as possible, just to have better like charging time overall. Now down to the radiator. The radiator is... Well, I think radiators are finally like important in this game. Meanwhile, they really only mattered for like 2 things in Armored Core 2, but radiators help cool your mech. Forced cooling is probably better referred to as burst cooling. So like if you overheat and you have a good forced cooling, you will reduce your heat by a nice chunk pretty fast. Now down to the inside. As you can see, those are inside of our arms. Inside parts are extra weapons that tend to be a little bit gimmicky. We'll take a look at some of those later on. Extensions are kind of similar. They are little support items. There's some very good extensions that once we get them, we'll probably end up using them for most of the game. But for now, nothing doing. Now we can start taking a look at some back units here. And our first back unit weapon that we've got here is a small missile launcher. It's got your usual stats. Weapon lock, again, is the same type of reticle situation as was mentioned with the FCS. Attack power is how strong it is. Bigger number equals better, blah, blah, blah. Ammo heat is how much you heat up an enemy when you hit them with it. This is not usually a super important thing unless you are very specifically building something that is designed to burn your enemies down, in which case, well, you look for specific weapons that do that. Range is a measure of the range. Maximum lock, as you can see, that's a unique stat for our missiles. We have 1 max lock. Reload time is more accurately refire rate, because reloads are handled in an automatic manner to such a point where it's like, oh, well, actually, that is not a great description of it, is it? Ammo, number of ammo, as you'd expect. Ammo type, solid. And underneath that, ammo price. So, solid fire weapons require you to pay for your munitions after a mission. So, we've got 120 on our ammo price here. We need to, if we fire a single missile in a mission, we're going to be paying an extra 120 credits, and that's going to come out of our bill for the mission. When we get paid for it, they'll just be like, oh, you fired some bullets, we're taking those away. Which, I mean, yeah, those cost money, so, okay. Usage drain, obviously we have no usage drain because this is a solid weapon as opposed to an energy weapon. And now we go down to a radar. And we got some radar stats here. So we got a radar range, radar type. The radar type gives us a rough idea of like what kind of shape we get on the radar, I think. But that part of the HUD is always the same shape, so I don't know how much that matters. Scanning interval. So I don't 100%... I mean, I understand the concept, but I don't know how it factors into the gameplay. And then we've got a bunch of stuff that we don't have, which are the ECM counter. We've already sort of discussed something similar. Noise counter. So if we're in an area with a lot of electronic interference, we have nothing to help deal with that. We don't have a missile sensor, so missiles aren't going to show up on our radar. We don't have a biosensor. And we don't have a stealth sensor. So in the very rare instances that enemies have stealth equipment, we're not going to see them on the radar with this. We're probably going to end up just like selling this thing immediately, by the way, because this is kind of useless for our endeavors, at least for a little while. And now we start to take a look at our weaponry on the arms. Not much is unique here. I'm pretty sure actually like everything is about the same. However, this is a rifle and it has a wide and shallow weapon lock, which means that it has a much larger field of view, but it doesn't have the kind of range that our standard one would have. So it's good for like machine guns and, you know, shit like that that would be close range. And next we come to a laser blade. This is our first one of these that we've seen, and these are always fun. Weight, energy drain, attack power, you can probably guess what that is. Attack heat, discharge heat. I mean, I guess you can just... Hey, I'm all for terrible ideas. Anyway, yeah, discharge heat, I think, is how much it heats us, which, again, is very little, but laser blades are not where you get your heat, like, at all. Don't even kid yourself about using these for fire purposes. Range rating is a demonstration, a rough estimate of how long the sword is. Wave range. We don't have the ability to shoot a wave with this, so that's not a thing that matters. We can get the ability to shoot waves out of our regular blades later on. Owl outfit. Oh, I get it. We'll get the ability to shoot waves out of our blade later on. This is one of the reasons why I originally wanted to do Armored Core 2, is because AC2 features something called Human Plus, where if you accrue a gigantic amount of debt, like, I think it's, yeah, you have to go 50,000 credits in debt. Your playthrough restarts, aside from you've already finished the tutorial mission, but you come back with, like, extra powers. In this game, that stuff is all relegated to an option part called OP Intensify that we do not get until the post-game, and starts off with nothing, and we have to go do special challenges in order to unlock the abilities. One of the ones you get is the ability to use your energy sword without, to use your laser blade and shoot waves. I'm sorry, I was thinking of the other thing that I wanted to say, which is that one of the other powers, and I kind of consider this one to be one of the most OP, is that you have unrestricted usage of shoulder cannons. Usually when you're in a biped core or a hover core, if you've got like a grenade launcher or a chain gun or something that's mounted to a back unit slot, you have to kneel in order to use it. And if you're on a quad core, you can't do it while you're in the air as a general rule. I believe you can do it while you're boosting on the ground though, so that's pretty cool. But there are ways to circumvent that. In this game, it's OP Intensify. In previous games, it would be Human Plus. And it's kind of busted being able to do that. That provides you with a massive amount of utility, like more than you would expect, really. I believe that's all the categories. You can see we have no option parts right now. We can sell things from here just by pressing square. That sound thing seems really far out. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to just set the sync offset to 0. Okay, no, that did make it worse because we're like actually that far behind. Sorry, now I'm just going to twiddle my audio for a second here. And see if I can make this suck less. Doesn't feel like it's having any sort of effect. Well, that's a pain in the ass. That's a shame. I guess I just really just need a decent capture unit for composite stuff, which those are hard to come by nowadays, tragically. Oh well, one of these days we'll have something better going on. We can go over to, oh no, it's in paint. All right, so we can actually customize our core's emblem, so we can have like a special symbol. It would take me way too long to draw anything on here, and I'm not like the greatest at this scale of pixel art, so we'll come back to this some other time. Although we can still use a sample emblem for now. And we got some interesting ones in here. We got this very silly looking penguin. I'm actually quite drawn to that. And a couple in here. I gotta think that some of these are references to like this gives me vibes of like maybe it's a Kingsfield reference, which FromSoft does do a lot of references back to their previous work. The most notorious, well, probably the most notorious weapon in the entire Armored Core series, the LS Moonlight, is a reference to the Holy Moonlight Sword from Kingsfield. So yeah, for now we're gonna have this thing. Just to say we have an emblem. And we can go into our color options here. We can set up a whole color scheme on our own. But as you can tell, it does take a bit of a while. This is the first game in the series, by the way, where you can have 2 different color arms, and I think that's neat. That's pretty good. But we're just gonna come in here. We're gonna be this purple color for now. And I think we're good to go. Let's go check out our cockpit and see what we can do with this. Again, we're going to change the color. Let's make it this purple color. And we want to put some stuff on the panel. So, from what I've been led to understand, and this may not necessarily be 100% accurate, but if you do not have certain pieces of the enemy status visible, I've been told that in some games they cheat. Like, outright, they will not use energy unless you're looking. So, like classic rubber banding, right? So we're going to put all of this stuff on here except for the altimeter. And you can see that the altimeter takes up a lot of our space. And I just don't like the way it looks. Everything else, though, nice to have. So we're leaving that for the time being. Let's head on down to the shop. Yeah, is there anything else important? And we can take a look at some other parts here. You can see this head, for example, has a radar. And it gives you some radar stats for it. Oh, we start with no money. I didn't even realize. I thought this game at least gave you 5K to start with. Yes, here's our typical radar dish type of head for every game. Every single AC game, I believe, has one of these, and it gives you a little bit of everything, but only a little. Let's take a look at some cores. We've got the light and the heavy cores here. We don't have the medium, the other medium core here. By the way, you can tell a fair bit about the... You can tell a surprising amount about a part from its model number. And by that, I mean, basically the first 3 letters tell you a little bit of information about it. That, for example, here we've got this MCL, etc. The first letter is your manufacturer. So this is manufactured by a company called Mirage. Again, doesn't really matter. The middle one is usually going to be what type of part it is. So here it's a C for a core. And the third letter is usually used for some sort of subset designation. So we've got an MCL and an MCH here. This one is very clearly a heavy core, where this one is a light core, as you can tell by the gap in the weight values there. And in here we got XAM, XAL, XAH. So we've got our medium, light, heavy arms. And if we scroll down even further, check it out. We've got weapon arms. I'm going to talk about all of these, I think, because most of these are actually quite good for very specific purposes. You do not really want to go into a mission with weapon arms because weapon arms have no defense points whatsoever. All they give you in terms of D is they give you some armor points. And usually it's a shit amount of armor points too. Like, look at this thing. This has, what, 690 for the machine gun arms, which we'll come back to in a second. Meanwhile, up here, the Malgale, I think this is the lightest arm in the game, has 1602. So yeah, bit of a jump, really. However, weapon arms are sickeningly powerful as a general rule. Take a look at this thing. This is a machine gun weapon arm. It's got a wide and shallow lock. It's got 200 damage per shot, which for a machine gun, whoa, boy. Oh, my throat's going already. I need to go get a glass of water in a couple minutes. But first, you know, that's real good for a machine gun. It's got pretty good ammo heat, good range, all this stuff. What this does not accurately describe to you is that in your standard mode for this, you're firing 2 shots at a time. And if they have, weapon arms have 2 toggleable modes. And as a general rule, that second mode is going to be fire twice as many bullets. So this thing just turns into an automatic shotgun when you switch it into the second mode. And yeah, okay, it's going to run out of ammunition real fast, especially with only 360 to start with. That's 90 shots out of a machine gun. But you do that, you go into a fight and you just get in someone's face and you remove it. And the rest of them, usually. This is a massive upgrade over the ones in Armored Core 2, by the way, which were already pretty gross. In Armored Core 2, the machine gun arms are quite infamous for being used by Warehound, who is this massive, like, level gate in the middle of the arena. And by middle, I mean rank 42 out of 50. Whereas he's harder than, like, anything before 20. And he does disgusting things to you with them. Meanwhile, with this, you can just annihilate someone if you manage to get and stay in their face. Scroll down a bit. We've got variable launch model missile. Our missile launcher here, I don't remember a ton about how this one works, other than the fact we see it's got 1 lock. So we're firing multi-missiles out of this. We're going to fire a salvo whenever we get a single lock, which is pretty nice. If we want to build a missile boat AC later, this would probably be a good one good piece of arm, yeah, okay, to pick up on. But we'll talk about that some other time when I feel like doing that, I think. Over here, we've got a slightly different version of toggle missile type Heat and Small. And you can see that's much more armor points because this thing is not as good of a weapon. But it's quite functional if you want to build a missile-based AC. That you can see the standard mode for this is your heat missiles, and they will burn an enemy down significantly faster, like almost 4 times as much heat as your small missiles. So against certain enemies, this can be real good. Move down here. Yeah, here's an interesting one. So, like, all of our stats are the same between these two, between the two modes, but we toggle between vertical missiles and ground torpedoes. Vertical missiles go straight up when you fire them, and then they drop down on your enemy. There are certain areas where you really don't want to use these, but otherwise they are very resistant to anti-missile, and they're pretty accurate. They're a little slow to hit, but whatever. And ground torpedoes are a little bit different. They kind of suck in this game because usually they'll just hit the floor and blow up, but they're nice low launching missiles. If you use them from a high place, they can get to enemies on the ground much faster. They have their uses, but they're an extremely niche weapon. And down we go. Toggle bazooka. Yeah, bazooka arms. And look at that model. That is just fantastic. That's beautiful. That's what you would expect a bazooka to look like. That's just your arms. Between firing 2 and 4 shots, I believe, for that. Good damage, but of course it's slow as hell, and the shots are not cheap. Down one more. Toggle howitzer. Now, if you look at these stats, you might be looking at this and going, that sounds pretty good. Howitzers actually kind of suck because they have no lock-on capability whatsoever. You are blind firing and arcing shot with these. So by all means, if you land a hit, you deserve to have good things happen with you. But on the other hand, good fucking luck. And down to DLC power. Was this named by John Riccatello? No, jokes aside. Laser cannon. Yes, laser cannon arms. And they toggle shot strength. So I'm assuming that this is gonna retain 48, i.e. 24 button presses no matter which mode it's in. It's been a while since I've used this. Usually I tend to make a very lightweight AC that has like the grenade launcher arms, which we don't have in the shop yet. Or the machine gun arms or stuff like that. Become a stormtrooper? Basically, yeah. Oh, if you want to talk about stormtrooper accuracy, this is a laser shotgun hand here. It says spread laser, but you know, laser shotgun. It's, again, if you get in close to an enemy, good damage. But if you don't, well, not so much. That's all of those we got for now. So let's take a look at some other stuff. We can go over here to our legs. As you can see, we got medium, light, heavy, stiff. Yeah, okay, good name for that. And we got back joint legs. Well, reverse joint, but it's CLB, and we're gonna see that, like, they were kind of screwed a little bit in terms of how much they could have in terms of abbreviation length, because we have to use B here for back, because R is already being taken up by hover, because H is already being taken up by heavy bipeds. So, yeah. Our back joint legs here. These are generally kind of in a similar league to lightweight bipeds. Although I think they have like better jumping ability usually. And there are some heavier ones, but we got like that one at least, so. Otherwise, not a ton of those. Now, quad legs. Quad legs are where I usually go to. Quad legs are very well rounded. But you can see they have massive energy drain, and they make up for that massive energy drain by also having nice mobility. And they can still jump, and you can use your cannons while you're moving around on the ground. So, hey, big ups all around. These are pretty good. Once we find ones that have good weight capacity, because I do tend to equip a lot of the heavier shit. But we'll worry about that in a bit. We move on down to tank legs. As you can guess, tank models. Also, this one says low energy drain for a tread model. Meanwhile, up here, here's one with much lower. You can check out that tank bases tend to have really high weight, which weight on legs seems like it's of questionable import because they don't care about that for the maximum weight value. This has to do with your ability to boost. You're going to drain yourself harder if you're boosting with more weight. So you realistically, you do kind of want lighter legs if you want to boost around a lot. And we also have some hovering tank bases here that are, again, kind of slow, but they've got good weight capacity and stuff, so hard to complain too much about them. They're pretty alright. And down here, here's our hover legs. You can see that moving ability is significantly higher. 615 is way better than anything we saw up there. But also, you get lower max weight for it. Your defensive capabilities are a little shakier, especially as you go down to some of these other ones. I mean, this thing... I mean, I want to take a look at the big stats here. We have like a good... Yeah, we got a good turn rate on there, which is quite good. But you can see that our stability ratings are quite bad. Our defenses and armor points are lower than the other one. This one's cheaper, though, so... Okay, fair enough. And then there's this one that's kind of shaped like a canoe a little bit. Boosters! Yes, we have some more boosters that we can choose from. FCS, let's see if we can get a little bit more information here on some of our options. Take a look at this one. This has, again, the standard lock, but it also has multi-targeting, which is nice if we're going in with missiles that have more than one lock. This one, okay, what's the deal here that this one is... Because this just looks better all around. Okay, maybe that -2 precision is a big screw job. But otherwise, like, the VREX 12 is significantly better than the previous one above it, which is just kind of wild, and it's cheaper. The hell? That's some weird balancing. But yeah, also this is a place where that part numbering stuff that I mentioned earlier kind of falls apart a little bit. Get past a couple of the standards here. We've got some wide and shallow ones. These are, again, great for your machine guns, your sniper rifles, all that kind of... sniper rifles, your standard rifles. Narrow and deep, that's what you want for a sniper rifle. Or for any sort of long-range weapon. Look at this thing. The longest sight range. By quite a bit, yeah. This one, this would probably be good for like a long-range missile unit, I suppose. Because again, it's another narrow and deep, but it doesn't have the same kind of sight range. It's definitely not like the sniper type of level here. Vertical lock type. This one... Yeah, so it says lengthway. This has like a vertical box, which is good if you're in a situation where you're going to run into a lot of aerial enemies. This horizontal one, this is just good for like if you've got a large swath of stuff, I guess. Both a little bit on the gimmicky side. And I'll be right back because, yeah, the old throat dryness, yeah, you know how it goes. BRB. Alright, gang, pardon the holdup. We are back. We are back indeed. Let's take a look at some more stuff. God, that sound lag is absurd. I need to reduce that a little bit. Oh, can I put this? Answer is probably not low enough, but whatever. I may have to even restart to get it, whatever. Ah, fuck it. We're just gonna have to deal with the horrible sound lag that is on my thing today. This is much worse than usual. I have no idea what the deal is, but at the very least it's not video lag, so yeah. Anyway, inside parts, we're gonna take a look at some stuff we got here. We've got these contact bombs and mines and stuff like that. These ones have an adhesive property, that's neat. These ones move. Oh, some fun stuff. We get rockets too. So, rockets are differentiated from missiles in this game by the fact that they have no lock-on whatsoever. They do have like a set of 3 lines just sort of serving as like a reticle of like, hey, you're pointing this way, but you don't get to lock on to anything. So they're hard to use, but they can be quite rewarding. And in a case like this, these are napalm rockets. They got a ridiculous amount of heat. So again, great against other ACs. These are ECM rockets. These can screw up your enemy's lock-on, so as you can tell, absolutely useless for our purposes. Decoys. These will distract enemy missiles. I think these are usable against the AI. I forget. ECM pods disrupt lock-ons. These are actually useful against enemy missile boats, but that's about it. And there's an enhanced version of it just in case. More radar decoys. Now over here to extensions. Extensions are where we get a wide array of neat stuff. This is probably the one that we would want to use the most, the back booster. The mobility benefits of the backwards booster are just cannot possibly be understated, really. Makes you a lot more capable of moving around, doing tricky stuff. Just A+ item all around. Really good. Really great. We love the back booster. And in AC2, it is hidden inside of a train, and if you take it, you lose the mission. And to be honest with you, I think that's fair. Now, the turn booster. The turn booster is also quite useful, potentially, for making quick turns, because admittedly, you do turn kind of slow. ACs are not exactly the most elegant thing in the air, despite your best efforts. Or even on the ground. Now, the interlock missiles. These are quite nice pieces of equipment. You will want to use these quite extensively if you're going to build a missile AC. These fire extra missiles whenever you fire missiles. You know, just yo dog a little bit. So, again, A+ if you're going all in on those missiles. You want the best of these you can get, and I think that is this one. Although this is quite good too. The vertical launch support missiles. Same amount of ammo, same amount of all that stuff. Less range. But they are vertical missiles, so they tend to be a little bit harder to disrupt and they hit better. One thing I should note, by the way, is that the more expensive part is not necessarily the better one. Armored Core is a very interesting series in that practically everything has some sort of a use case, and the game is very well balanced in that regard. It is some great design. Like, even if you don't like the kind of stuff that FromSoft does, they are fucking good at their jobs. Just honestly, among the most skilled developers, really. Anywho, yeah, here's some anti-missile systems. Again, with anti-missile, you want max number of shots, really, and good response time helps, but most shots is one of your big things for most cases. Like, this one is probably going to be the best bet as your general rule. However, this one is completely energy-based, and it doesn't have a whole lot of shots, but it is completely free, so if you're in a mission and you think you're going to be up against a lot of missile boats or something, this is a good get, because it will not hurt your money that much. Now we move further down, we've got side shields. These are new for AC3, and I haven't used these a whole lot because I don't really like shields that much. Yeah, I know, huge scrub moment that I'm just like, wow, why am I so bad at these games? Ignores defense. But a side shield would probably do you some good, especially if you don't have like other extensions you want to use more. The left arm is probably usually going to be taken up by one of your more offense-oriented tools. So we got a couple of options down here. This one's got a little better defense all around. Oh, interestingly, the shield defense, I believe, is an average of these two values here, as opposed to what they have going on with the body parts. That's interesting. And yeah, as you can see, here's another case of more expensive part is not inherently better. This one is cheaper, but it has a lesser usage drain and a wider shield coverage, which means that you'll be able to block attacks from better angles and stuff. Hard to complain about that. And here we've got an auxiliary radiator. You hit this, you hit L3, and you get 20k units of cooling whenever you need it. Extremely niche, but good inside of those niches. And down here we have another just great all-around part. Only two uses to it, but a quick 30k energy recovery. That is amazing. That allows you to extend your bullshit so much in some instances. It's just really good. That's all I got. Alright, so we're taking a look at back units here. We got some varieties of missiles here. Ones that go all the way up to 12 locks. These are usually just... 12 lock is kind of a pain in the ass to use, but it does give you a lot of ammunition, so that's nice. And here we've got middle missiles. These are significantly stronger, less shots, a little bit chunkier to use. I'm pretty sure these fire slower. Yeah, they got a longer reload time. So these aren't quite as good for the quick hits. Let's see, do we have a lock time on these? I don't believe we do. Oh well, and yeah, as you can see, more expensive. And here's our vertical missiles. These are nice. These have good damage. Again, hard to deal with. Can't complain about it. This is a dual missile launcher. So, significantly more efficient in terms of the speed of dealing damage than the other one. I tend to like these. These are pretty alright. The multi-missile. Oh, the multi-missile is fun. So, when you fire a multi-missile, it goes into the air and then it splits into 4. The amount of damage you can get out of a single multi-missile is pretty good, even though usually you'll end up wasting one of the shots even before AMS or dodging comes into play. but they do good work overall, and they're just plain old fun, really. And these are our ground torpedoes. I've already kind of discussed these. These are a little bit very situational, to put it nicely. The Titan carries 4 high explosive missiles. Oh, large missiles. Large missiles will annihilate people. I mean, look at that. 6,800 attack power. Gigantic ammunition heat. Range is terrible. 255 reload time. Only 4 shots. They cost 3,500 apiece to fire. These things will wreck people as badly as you think, but... Excuse me. But they lock on kind of slow, so they can be awkward. And if your opponent has really good anti-missile, well, yeah, it's kind of a waste, isn't it? And now rockets. We've discussed rockets already, but these are quite good. The little shoulder rockets. Generally very efficient in terms of price and weight. If you're a good shot with these, they are just a top-notch piece of gear, and you should definitely, in that case, have yourself a good small rocket. You probably don't need the 80-shot one, but the 50-shot one, that's not bad. I mean, it weighs fuck nothing, really. And here's your middle rockets for a little bit more damage per hit. The triple rocket. This triple rockets are kind of fun, but you only get 20 shots despite it saying 60 ammo because each shot is 3 ammo. And they fire in a spread, so they're a little bit easier to hit with, but they tend to be a bit more wasteful. Oh yeah, this one, the Hecto, the large rocket, so much more expensive than they were in AC2. But again, if you can land a hit with these are very nice. You do a great chunk of damage. Good way to dissuade somebody from just bull rushing you is if you can just get one of those. As soon as they get in your face, you can just plunk a shot right in them. Huge damage. Eases the fight quite a bit. Now we start moving into the cannons, and first we get one of my personal favorites, a chain gun. I love my machine guns, and let me tell you, being able to strap one to your shoulders, excellent. Great damage out. I don't remember if this is the game where they changed up how they work, so that way it's like the shots are blocked out in sets of 32, which, if this is the one, then yeah, this is significantly nerfed as a consequence. But if not, yeah, this is going to be a constant part of our repertoire. And now we move into the grenade launchers. We got a small one here. This I've never really been able to use very effectively. There's a much bigger one that we can get. Oh, there it is. I didn't think we have access to it yet. But yeah, this thing, way more damage than that, as you can see. Packs a massive punch. Expensive shots. Not a lot of them. This is great for the arena. This just rips people in half if you use it properly. Great damage. And down here, we start getting into some plasma cannons. Plasma cannons are grenade launchers minus the heat, but with energy shots instead of solid shots. So they're pretty good for missions, especially if you're like, hey, I might need some big firepower here. Grab a plasma cannon. That'll cover you. And the laser cannon, it's smaller brother who is a little bit more efficient. At better range, too. Better munitions. Yeah. Actually quite good. A pulse cannon. So pulse cannons are kind of my other go-to because they've got a good amount of ammunition, decent attack power. So good for sweeping up some of the smaller or even medium-sized enemies. And it's got some pretty solid range on it. 800. I forgot that it had that kind of range. This one is less ammunition. This one fires faster, though, it looks like. Yeah, it's a fair chunk faster. Is this the game where you have the triple shot one? I think that's a different game. Here's something interesting, an orbit cannon. An orbit cannon functions kind of like missiles, but instead of firing missiles, it fires little weapon pods that fire lasers at your enemy. So the attack power looks horrendous, and to be honest, these are not super powerful most of the time. They are very much a gimmick weapon, but they can do some good for you. And I believe they actually do fire your relation missiles too, so you can link those up, and you can do a lot of work. And yeah, shoulder mount magazines. These are, well, what you would expect. Increases your ammunition capacity. I tend to find these not good enough, really, as a general rule. Radars. We got a couple of them down here. I don't 100% understand all of the radar type stuff still, as I said before. Anywho, now we start getting into our double back units. So we get, we don't have the double multi-warhead missile launcher in this game, do we? Maybe we do. So, but otherwise we do have our double verticals. These pile on pretty good damage at a decent rate. And as you can see, they've got higher attack power than the single ones, I believe. So a little bit more efficient. And we got our quad missiles. These do a lot of work reasonably fast, but not a ton of ammunition, really, so a little hard to justify, in my opinion. The pursuit missile. This is a fun gimmick weapon that will absolutely wreck you if it ends up against you. It fires out a pod that just spits out a huge amount of missiles. You only get 4 of them, and they're grossly expensive. You do not want to take these into a mission. They can do a lot of work, but they're mostly for large targets like enemy ACs. And if you're taking this into a mission, you're giving up both of your back unit slots, which are fairly precious, all considered, because usually a mission is not just going to be you versus another AC. Yeah, let's go over to left arm units, because this will be short. We got a couple of different energy blades here, and we've got one here. This actually has a wave attached to it. This one, instead of using a regular swing, this just fires an energy wave out of it. As you can see, it has no range rating on it whatsoever. So, an interesting piece of equipment. Now we move on to something that is new for this game. We've got left-hand guns. These are not something you select like we were doing with our shoulder-mounted missile or our rifle in the first mission, in our tutorial mission. The left arm weapon is always bound to the circle button. So whether you're using the beam saber or you're using the left-hand gun, you're always going to be able to access that with the circle button, and that actually makes left-hand howitzers quite good, because that gives them a proper lock, and they will have very high accuracy as a consequence compared to the other thing. Compared to the regular ones, rather. Other thing, yeah. I'm bad at words right now, if you can't tell. A flamethrower for the left hand. This is not a bad choice. This is a pretty good design idea, really. And then we've got our energy shields, which we've discussed those a little bit already. There are also, I believe, solid shields in this game. Once we start unlocking those, which are just a metal plate. You press the circle button to toggle these on and off. They constantly drain energy while they're on, but they provide you with some defense, as you would expect a shield to. Now let's take a look at these left arm units. If I recall correctly, one of these rifles is really good. Like, I think this one is, like, low-key extremely powerful, but I can't remember off the top of my head. However, let's take a look at some of our other options here. We've got sniper rifles. These are just regular rifles, but high range, as you'd expect. And then machine guns. Machine guns do exactly what you'd expect them to. Does this game have one that has like a super low reload time? I guess it would be this one. Yeah, the attack damage on us is not great, but the reload speed is the fastest in the game, I believe. So you can, again, kind of dent an enemy pretty fast with this and apply a good chunk of heat because, 14 per shot when you're firing them that fast is quite good. It's higher ammo heat than the others, that's for sure. So, yeah, not a terrible choice, actually, especially for the price. But typically, the machine guns have significantly more ammo than that. Like this 1,000 bullet one, I usually tend to gravitate towards these just because of the great longevity. Makes them very good for missions, even though, yeah, you got to pay for the ammo at the end, but whatever. Now we move on to handguns. Handguns are good for a very specific thing, and that is high ammo heat. They also have pretty good stopping power, but usually that's not what you're picking these up for. You're picking them up to burn your enemy to death. Yeah. Down here, a bazooka. Bazooka operates how you'd expect it to. Slow firing, powerful, fast-moving shots, good stopping power. Again, mostly the sort of thing you're strapped into a tank, though. And this one, this is significantly heavier, but much more attack damage, and less ammunition, of course. But that's okay. Shotguns, yes, that's right. For those of you who like melee, there they are. And this one, this is just a real, this is just a real gun that they just modeled into the game. I don't know, I find the way it looks very funny. An energy shotgun, yes. If you like shotguns but don't like the ability to heat your enemy up. It's got some use cases, but not a ton from what I remember. Alright, handheld missiles. These are... well, it's a missile launcher. Max lock of 4, that's alright. And the hand rocket. The hand rocket is a rough one to use because, hey, that's your right arm unit, which is taken up by a rocket, which is hard to aim. But if you're good with this, you will not be... you will be well served, rather. Down we go some more to some more of our energy weapons here. The pulse rifles, these are generally quite weak, but they have good ammunition. And they're kind of alright. Laser rifles are much more what we want to use if we're going this route. Better damage. The ammunition is a little low. And here's another new thing for AC3. We've got right-hand blades. These don't even cost money to use, but they do have a usage limit. However, they do have very good damage, as you would probably not be surprised to hear by the fact that they're set up on your right arm, which, again, very important weapon slot. That's where your main stuff goes. These are a little bit hard to time, but they will hurt an enemy very severely if you land them. And I think that's about all of our explaining parts for the time being. Let's go ahead and let's drop a save. As I've been here for like a million hours explaining some stuff to you. More information than you could possibly require. Let's go in here and we're gonna see what we can do with this. We're going to sell off some of our gear for a little bit. And we're going to equip ourselves with some more budget-friendly things that will let us equip better armaments to ourselves. So that way we can go take on some of the arena opponents. and have a fairly easy time with most of them because quite a few of them aren't really going to require a ton of evasion on our part, which is great because I don't feel like it. Yeah, I don't really need that particularly. And that sound lag is so huge. I don't know how I managed to make it so bad. But it's definitely messing with me a little bit. No, not mission yet. That's not what we're doing here. We're going to the arena. And we're going to take on our E rankers here. Starting with Adieu. This is basically just the basic AC, but with minor tweaks. You can see no missiles even. Now, when we choose to battle an opponent in the arena, we get a couple of different location choices here. This is one of our main advantages that we have, is that we can choose a location that will put the enemy at a disadvantage depending on their AI. Because, for example, there are certain areas that have, out of bounds zones, so you can make an enemy just like go, the hell with it, we're going out of here, and they'll forfeit the match as a result. It's not as powerful of a strategy as it used to be in some of the older games, but it's something that we'll probably try to take advantage of a little bit here and there. Yeah, you can definitely tell that sound lag is quite bad. I'm going to keep bringing it up for a bit because, again, I'm at a bit of a loss because it's gotten worse. I may have to go back to what my old option was with the composite device sound. And in fact, I'm probably going to do that in just a second. Because, yeah, this is... Alright, so while it says view replay, give me just a second here to go in here and change this up a bit. Output desktop audio. Some audio device. Okay, that has returned it to the old status. Before I had it as a custom audio device, and I did have it to monitor an output, that may have been causing the problem. In fact, I highly suspect it was. But now that we've beaten this guy, always remember to log out of the arena and check your mail. Because from time to time, you'll get free parts. Excuse me. Every time you hit a certain rank, we will be presented with an AC part. A back part, model CMW. What's this? CMW? S60. Small missiles? CMW would be wrong. It would be CWM. Fucking... Okay, yeah, so it's a 10-lock small missile. That's nice. I like that. For the time being, we go back into the arena. I realized I didn't talk about optional parts. I'll do that later. By the way, we can go in here and we can take a look at the parts our enemy is using, and if you can remember the names of like half of these things, that may be useful information. Unfortunately, I generally don't, so yeah. And yeah, there's our inbuilt AMS doing a little bit of work there. That was pretty nice. Now, where possible, you do want to try to circle strafe opposite the direction your enemy is going. Also, yeah, in this game, as you can tell, our chain guns are not blocked out to clips of 32. So these are still good. I may be thinking of like Last Raven or something, which Last Raven is genuinely... Armored Core Last Raven is one of the hardest games I have ever played. Like, just ridiculous, really. Oh. I just elbowed my giant water glass. Thankfully, I didn't knock it over, although that was a concern for a moment there. Let's have a look at Strasbourg here. That's a decent set of gear that this dude has. This is looking like quite a step up already. However, I think we can still get away with what we've got going on for now. Yeah, look at how that sucked the crap out of our energy. And we were getting a warning for getting heated up a little bit. A lot of it. Also, something you may have noticed, and it's something that I did not really piece together for a very long time, is that depending on what type of legs you have, you do a different attack animation with your sword. And that actually does have an effect on the area that you can hit and how much damage you do. Which I only learned that last part recently. Like, I figured, okay, yeah, sure, it's drawing a little differently, but that's about it, right? No, it actually has gameplay value. And yeah, a lot of these fights are pretty easy. In fact, I don't remember if any of the E-rank fights are all that hard at all, actually. This guy's got quite the emblem, huh? Back joint mech and the... Oh, carrying the laser-based anti-missile. That's not going to help you, buddy, but, you know. Good on you, buddy. Thinking forward or something. I'm planning for at least one potential problem. And this fella's using the, as you can see, using an Exceed Orbit, and one that particularly is firing some pretty slow but decently strong looking shots. Something I forgot to mention is that energy-based Exceed Orbit cores will regenerate their ammunition over time. Because yeah, they have an ammunition limit. I'm sure that's not a surprise. I thought Buddy was on top of me for a sec there. Not for long enough for us to actually do anything with that. I don't know if there's... I don't know if there's solid ammo Exceed Orbits in this game, but they do exist later in the series. Just something to know that exists, I suppose. Is this when we start getting email from someone who's kind of smug about it? Maybe it's later. I know that there is at least one fairly early, because there usually is someone who just harasses you through your mail function, like, oh hey, look at how much better. It's like, buddy. Do so much better with. Anyway, what's this about your joke? Salads. Oh jeez. Oh jeez. That's a. Oop. Ooh, that was quite a loud. Yeah, you can see our friend's got a right arm howitzer. When we overheat, we get the output down notification. So that's what happened there. Alright, you can see that we're quite effective at doing that to this dude too. That, yeah, okay. It's below $1,000. You're at 4, and that's when your overheat ended. As I was prepared to rest on my laurels, but that dude survived with 4 HP. That's kind of incredible, really. Ah, yes, this fella's got the energy shotguns and the 10-lock missiles. This is probably going to be pretty easy. But I mean, that is actually a really cool looking core, I gotta say. Really stands out a lot. Could get rough up close, I guess, is one of the problems. And we're not really afforded great long-range weapons at this point in the journey. Oh, you're trying to bomb me from downtown already. Ooh. I mean, yeah, we're getting flacked a little bit here. However, you can see that lack of defense coming in coming in handy for us, but yeah, Gydos here equips no defense whatsoever. With the fragility inherent to weapon arms, plus the, lightweight reverse joint legs, the radar dish head, which is like an entire glass jaw, if I recall correctly. That wasn't going to be a long fight, that's for sure. I'm going to put on my missiles real quick, because I have been cutting it a little bit close with the machine gun. And to be honest with you, the rifle and especially this thing are just kind of vestigial. In fact, it's to such a point I'm going to sell my arms and my arm units, and I'm going to go pick up some weapon arms. And we're going to have some fun with this. Megatron. That's right, we are just all gun at this point in a tank. It is kind of Megatron, actually. Stay in my... This guy's doing too many sideways movements for this to necessarily be the most effective option for us. Stay down. But, I mean, look at how much we're just eating this guy's health with the machine gun arms. Provided we land shots. And admittedly, that is kind of rough. And again, remember, we're over here with basically a 90-shot machine gun. We're trying to make everything count. There we go. That's some standards. Well. So we got one more opponent that we can take on here, I believe. We're going to get an email from somebody all the way at the top. Ooh, yes, quite the elaborate emblem introduction here. Taking his advice, yeah. Oh, is he like, oh, well, this guy's going to tell you to back down, and we're going to be like, oh, well, whatever. Kick his ass eventually. Got some interesting parts going on with this fella. Alright, so ignore what I said earlier. Circle strafe in the same direction as this fellow when we got this weapon. Because, I mean, look at that. We just annihilated that fool. Ooh, yes. Very nice. I don't need to see a replay of that. Get our 5,500 fun bucks, and as you can see, we cannot go on to the next arena. So, new to the Armored Core 3 arena is the importance of your Raven rank. You cannot fight opponents above your rank, so everybody here is all rank D Ravens. We're only a rank E because we just started the game. If we want to do any of this, we got to go do some more missions. This, admittedly, is probably a smart idea to, like, restrain you from doing too much of just spamming the arena for getting all the cash and getting all the free parts and all that stuff. Because you can kind of break the game a little bit by doing that. And does this game need more things to break it with? And the answer is probably not. Alright, now we're going to start selling a bunch of stuff here. Just make back as much of our money as possible. Because right now, all we got is a core and a head. We want some legs, and we're going to go and get ourselves a nice set of quads. Right, pick ourselves up a better booster here. This one has a nice boost in boost power versus very little in charge drain. And now arms. We're going with we're gonna take the Malgale. We're gonna go to left arm unit. I think we can safely take this one. Right arm. We have some space in our right arm here for some good stuff. Any of these pulse rifles have decent damage? I have 437 and 100 ammo. What's our basic rifle look like for that? Is yeah, even the high power one is less than that. So that might actually be a useful option for a little bit. Yeah, we're going to take that, actually. Alright. Whip all of our parts. Whip our sword. Whip this. And we have no back units whatsoever, but that's okay. I don't think we need them. Remember to take a look at your weight points here, and we can see what kind of capacity we still have left. We would only have like 900 more space to fit stuff on. Well, like 950, but yeah, not the most wiggle room. Oh yeah, that's not where I go to show those off, because I was going to talk about option parts, and you can take a look here at what we've got. We got a couple that are just pure increase your defense, which is very nice. Only a few slots each. This one reduces your impact shock on hit, so basically it's an increase to your stability. Not terrible, but not as useful most of the time. This thing increases your generator capacity. This is great. This is, if you can fit that in there, you should always have that. We don't have the money for it right now. This is an ECM maker. We don't really use that a whole lot. Reduced lock-on time. Good for things that are missile-based. Enlarges the sight lock. This is very helpful as a general rule just for missions. Improved braking. I don't think this warrants 30,000 credits is my problem. Eltrun. Improved turning speed. Probably too expensive for what it is, but not necessarily a bad thing. Increased energy weapon power. That's just very helpful all around. Always good if you're rocking some energy weapons. as is this, which increases your fire rate on your energy weapons, reduce energy use while firing, adds missile display to the radar. You probably can already get something with that anyway, so less of a problem. But that should give you a little bit of a look as to what kind of effects you can get out of your option parts. There's some pretty handy stuff in there. Go ahead and save. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take on a mission, maybe even two, depending on how lengthy they are. Let's take a look at End Employee Standoff. Okay, yeah, this is the one I was thinking of earlier when I said that they call you in with your mech to be a strike breaker. Oh, man. Big "are we the baddies" moment. Let's go with this one. Defend the arena. It doesn't have a base pay, but we get money based on how well we do.
Information has come to light regarding a possible terrorist attack on Global Cortex interests. The instigators have yet to be revealed, but there is no mistaking their intentions. As far as we know, they plan to disable one of our arena facilities and force the cancellation of an upcoming match. Stand by on scene and make sure the attack does not succeed. An overwhelming show of force must be brought to bear so that our response isn't misinterpreted. Hostilities against Global Cortex are not tolerated and will be dealt with accordingly. Due to our stance on this matter, your reward will be determined by the number of enemy units destroyed.
Yeah, there you go. Depending on how many things get killed, that determines how much money we get. So, let's give it our all here. Let's put our backs into it. And this is our loading screen, by the way. They give you a little bit of information, a little bit of flavor text for you.
Engaged. There are more than we expected. Be careful.
It might have been smart if I picked up a radar at some point, because, yeah, I can't see where, like, anything is. And admittedly, that is a bit of a worry. Oh. That's right. You got to jump from a standstill. Yeah, a generator upgrade is going to absolutely be our next thing, because otherwise, ugh, we're not having a great time here. Oh, are these things, do they fire generator killing rockets? Is that a thing I'm encountering here? Yeah, something is definitely, like, sucking the hell out of my energy.
Looks like you could use a hand.
Yeah, I'm kind of pinned down here, buddy.
AC Guernica identified.
Yeah, I didn't remember this being quite so bad. Here, if I just act as bait for a bit, buddy, can you target these dudes while I try to recover my energy? That works. Yeah, you can really see just how much not having a good generator can absolutely screw you. But listen, funding was tight. I needed this fancy sword. So that way I can still not have the reach to get anything, basically. Oh, nice. The sort of particle effects, as it were, still go. Did I actually hit that thing? Alright, should be only one left, judging by the way those numbers moved.
I've seen better. Your skills aren't up to par.
Yeah, no, I was having a bad time, buddy.
Objective achieved.
Don't be giving me any sass. It was not a great go for me. I could probably do better again if I chose like a real weapon, but yeah. We lost a pretty solid chunk of change. I'm gonna reset that one actually, because that was a mess. I'm surprised he's not like, how the fuck did you even beat me? Because we'd just annihilated him earlier. Alright. Reload. Where's... Yeah, this is what we're looking for. Oh yeah, that thing is better ammunition than our starting weapon, so that's some good... That's some good staying power on that. Let's go look at our... We should be able to get a better generator, yeah? Oh yeah, with that kind of money, hell yeah. Generators. Yeah, I think we're gonna take this. Because it's expensive, but it's got a lot of energy to it. So we should hopefully be in a better shape with that. We're gonna save. And we're gonna try to do less bad here. Mission. Yeah, accept mission and just jump straight ahead. By the way, if you hit accept mission and then you hit no on commence mission, you will have the opportunity to go modify your mech and stuff before you actually go out into the world of
There are more than we expected. Be careful.
fighting your enemies. Oh, really? You're gonna... The amount of sidestepping that one enemy was doing, that was kind of a lot. Yeah, remember what I was saying before about the attack of your sword having different hitboxes? You can probably see it pretty well there because I was just basically grazing off the edge of some of those things very easily.
Looks like you could use a hand.
Let's get some secondary in here.
AC Guernica identified.
Where's our guys? I don't see any of them anymore, man. No radar. They're all like stealth painted. I don't know. I heard some locks going earlier. That's better. All right, yeah, I'm hearing lock-ons ping. One last... Yeah, there he is. This is one of those dudes, right?
Very impressive, Raven. Perhaps we'll work together again.
I don't know. I still lost like half my health. Actually, no, not that much, because I'm only at like 7,000 something, I think. And we're above 4,500, so... Not terrible. And yeah, we actually came out ahead in terms of total amount of cash, so not bad. Again, only B rank, though. We probably would have done significantly better if I'd had radar, because then, well, I would have been able to see him more easily. But I didn't think about it. Oops. And by didn't think about it, I mean I just sort of shoved it to the side and said, radar, fuck that. But hey, new emails from old buddy who's like, hey, we've totally never met before. I mean, yeah, I guess we make a good team, but most of that was like nothing going on, really. I was just chasing after the shit your missiles were going after in the first place. Alright, what do you got for us here in the Grand Mining Facility here? Oh, we should save first, actually. Alright, what you got for us, Chief?
We'd like you to execute an attack on the Grand Mining Facility. Kisaragi has played a leading role in the mine's operation, and just recently uncovered a rich vein of rare metal ore.
Oh, very authoritative voice here for a guy who's like, hey, yeah, go secure our gold mine. Alright.
Needless to say, the ore has considerable value, and we're unwilling to allow Kisaragi to corner the market.
Oops.
We'd like you to, needless to say, after consultation with other corporations, it was decided that the mine's resources are to be equally distributed, and that we, Mirage, will take over its day-to-day operations. However, although Kisaragi agreed to this, they continue to mine the ore and are in clear violation of the arrangement that was settled upon. We want to avoid damage to the mine and its assets, but all Kisaragi personnel are to be removed from the facility.
You know, standard, everyday, corporate, underhanded Ooh, alright. So we get to see yet another new mechanic for Armored Core 3? Pardon me. We have consorts. We can hire some extra help here, and we get a little bit of a budget to do some stuff with that. And at this early juncture, we only get access to various types of MTs, so no ACs to join us yet. But we can take a little bit of a look at these dudes and get a rough idea as to what kind of gear they're packing. However, I think in my case, I'm not going to take anybody with me. There's a whole 21 enemies, and I'd rather just have the 6K. Because that's just a little bit more wiggle room for me to fuck up in. And
System engaged.
Raven, destroy all forces occupying the facility. Avoid damaging any of the mine equipment.
yeah, so just kill the dudes, try not to break stuff. Again, continue regretting not having a radar, because... Yeah, see, I knew I was getting shot at from somewhere. I just... I just wasn't completely sure where it was, because I couldn't see the enemy. This is a thing that, yeah, some of the environments do get very brown. Again, sort of predating Gears of War and its infamous color scheme, but, you know, we all dunk on that game for whatever reason. But... actually, I'll be honest with you, I had forgotten how rough this game could be about stuff like that. Because while there's, again, the game I remember more at this point is Armored Core 2, which had some kind of dark environments, don't get me wrong, but they, to my recollection, were never as severe as this. So here's where our last set of dudes is. Ah, yes, we're greeted with missiles. That's always fun. Ah, you jerks, I'm the one who's gonna get blamed for that. Yeah, if like any of the special deductions kick in, even if the enemy does it, the games are not set up to detect if the enemy has destroyed objects or if it's you.
Destruction of all enemy targets confirmed. Great work, Raven.
Objective achieved.
So that probably didn't go over as well as it could have. Again, I gotta remember to get the radar. Also, look how we were standing there. That was pretty good. Very nice. Yeah, we took a 500-point special deduction, but, you know, yeah, you can tell I'm real glad I didn't choose backup here because they wouldn't have helped that much. And I was telling you that, yeah, more room to screw up because it was gonna happen. And it kind of did. We could have got significantly better rewards for that, and yet... Once we beat the game, we'll be able to go back to missions and redo them for better reward and better rank and stuff. So I'm not super cut up about it, except in certain instances where I suck really badly. Oh, that doesn't sound pretentious or anything, but I digress. We're going in here. We're gonna, what kind of radar-based head can we get here? We got 40K. It's got to be enough to find something here that comes with some standard radar. We can't get that, but we can get the... That one? Yeah. So let's take another save here. We're doing this between everything just to make absolutely sure. What else have we got mission-wise? Here we've got... yeah, we had to do this eventually. End employee standoff. At least there's only 7 dudes, so this shouldn't be too bad.
A group of employees, unhappy about our decision to shut down the Zydan weapons factory, have taken over control. They've modified the factory's MTs for combat, and are using them to keep the demolition team at bay. Remove them from the premises immediately.
Oh, I would like to know why the
Closing
factory is being
was a difficult
decommissioned.
decision,
Just
but had to be done in order to accommodate the need for more housing. Every day we are delayed is costing huge.
okay. I mean, that's a fair reason. But did you guys have like no plan to help fix that whatsoever?
We're sending you in to end the standoff and get the project back on track.
Again, always,
Eliminate all targets in the factory.
as I said before, gray morality is something that you'd be quite happy to have. And here, once again, we get the same set of consorts as before. We're not taking any of these because, hey, 7 targets. And I'll take the free money.
Combat system engaged.
Stick to the plan. Those MTs are no match for AC.
They sent in a Raven.
It's just like when you're watching Gundam and somebody goes, "It's a Gundam!" And see, you do really get to appreciate the grossness of the fact that, hey, you're fighting these things that actually still have dudes in them. God, I hope they don't charge me for any of the other stuff being broken here. That wouldn't feel good. Well, I mean, like that's... Oh, that guy is an A+ voice actor.
That's all of them. Let's head out.
Yeah, nice and short.
Mission complete. Combat
Too short for us to think about what we've done. Yeah, I mean, the world is kind of in a not a super great place in a lot of ways. That, like, yeah, trade-offs have to be made. Absolutely. It's just like, man. Never feels great being the one who has to hash that out, right? And we got an A rank on that mission. Getting an S rank on this mission is pretty tight. Like, you don't have a whole lot of room in terms of how much money you can lose. You can't take much damage, and you really would want an energy weapon for that. But we've seen how well I handled those, so we're waiting until we have, like, a real generator. And by a real generator, I mean probably something we unlock later. Because the one we've got now is okay. But I think we can get better significantly later on. Oh well, we will find out when we get there. You sure do, huh? Oh yeah, is there any like deeper explanation as to why that's the way it's going, or do you have no idea either? Whatever. I'm not sure if the dudes from Crest Industries care. Complex and extremely powerful AI computer system. Yeah, I'm sure this isn't going to go poorly. You see, like I said, complicated. And in this series, you're just always in the gray areas at the very nicest. Sometimes you're outright the bad person. But regardless, we save our game. And sure, we've only just kind of gotten a foothold. We've only done 3 missions. We've only cleared the E rank, but hopefully we've got at least some idea of some of the sheer amount of stuff in this game. And we'll take a look at more of it in the future.